Daily learning.
Is it normal if I feel left behind? Sometimes I wake up with an ache in my chest that I cannot describe. It is not exactly pain, but it feels like emptiness stretching across my heart. I look around and notice how the people close to me seem to move forward while I remain standing in the same place. My friends, one by one, begin to achieve their dreams. Some graduate with honors, some get jobs they once only talked about, some fall in love and start building families. They look so certain about where their lives are heading. Meanwhile, I keep asking myself the same question over and over. What am I doing with my life? At first, I told myself that it was fine. Everyone has a different path, and my time would come eventually. Yet as the days turned into months, and the months into years, that hope started to crumble. Every new achievement that appeared on my social media feeds felt like a reminder of what I had not accomplished. Instead of celebrating them wholeheartedly, I found myself sinking into a strange mixture of jealousy and shame. I wanted to be happy for them, and in many ways I was, but beneath the surface there was a heavy voice whispering that I was being left behind. The more I thought about it, the more powerless I felt. Nights became the hardest. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind would wander into dark places. I would recall every failure, every mischance, every time I quit before finishing something. Those memories grew heavier at night, almost as if they came alive when the world grew quiet. Sleep rarely came easily, because I was too busy questioning myself, too busy fearing the future that seemed empty and uncertain. Day by day, my confidence dissolved. I began to see myself not as someone who was simply struggling, but as someone who was failing. The weight of comparison became unbearable. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back. My reflection seemed tired, uninspired, and lost. I wondered whether I had already wasted too much time to turn things around. There were moments when even the simplest tasks felt impossible. Applying for jobs felt meaningless, chasing dreams seemed pointless, and imagining the future was terrifying. It was as though life itself was pushing me backward while others kept moving ahead. I carried guilt in my chest, blaming myself for every misstep, every hesitation, every moment of weakness. Still, in the middle of this storm, there were small sparks of clarity. They came unexpectedly, often in the quietest hours of the day. Sometimes it was during a walk when the air felt soft against my skin. Sometimes it was while reading a book that reminded me how deeply words could touch the soul. In those fleeting moments, I realized that perhaps life was not meant to be a straight race. Perhaps there was no fixed timeline that I had to follow. Gradually, I tried to hold on to that thought. It was not easy. Old fears and insecurities kept returning, but little by little I began to accept that my journey could look different without being worthless. Instead of focusing on how far ahead everyone else seemed to be, I started paying attention to the small steps I could take for myself. I wrote more, not because it would lead to success right away, but because it made me feel alive. I allowed myself to rest without guilt, reminding myself that recovery was also progress. The change was slow, almost invisible at first. Yet with time, I noticed that the nights were less suffocating. The heaviness in my chest was still there, but it no longer controlled me. I still felt uncertain, but I was not drowning in it anymore. I began to see my life not as a failure, but as a process. Every broken piece, every wrong turn, every disappointment was shaping me in ways I could not understand yet. As I kept moving forward in this fragile way, I realized that healing was not about erasing sadness or instantly becoming confident. Healing was about learning to carry the sadness without letting it destroy me. It was about choosing again and again to believe that my story was still unfolding. Of course, there were setbacks. There were days when hopelessness returned like an old shadow, whispering that I was too late, too unworthy, too broken. On those days, I reminded myself that even falling backward did not erase the steps I had already taken. I held on to the idea that growth was not always visible, but it was happening quietly inside me. Slowly, hope returned. It was fragile at first, like a small flame flickering in the wind, but it grew stronger as I kept protecting it. I began to believe that my worth was not defined by how quickly I achieved my dreams compared to others. My worth was in the way I kept going, even when it felt unbearable. My worth was in the way I continued to love, to hope, and to try, despite the fears that haunted me. Looking back now, I can see how lost I was, how heavy the loneliness felt, how endless the nights seemed. Yet I can also see how those very moments taught me something precious. They showed me that life is not always about winning the race. Sometimes it is about surviving long enough to realize that there is still beauty ahead, even when the path is unclear. Today, I am still learning. I do not have everything figured out. My future is still uncertain, and sometimes I still feel behind. But I am no longer at war with myself. I have learned to be patient with the person I am becoming. I have learned to accept the pace of my own journey. Most importantly, I have learned that even when I feel like I have lost everything, life has a way of slowly returning pieces of hope to me, one by one. So yes, maybe it is normal to feel left behind at times. Maybe it is normal to feel lost when everyone else seems certain. But normal does not mean hopeless. And do you facing the same problem right now? I know it sounds cliche, but I hope you guys get the confident boost to let you believe that you are more than enough and the golden time of your life is coming soon. So, for yourself, please keep moving on whatever you're doing right now and make your future self proud.